When Carey Cox and Jeff Coghill began their separate journeys at Maryville College in the late 1960s, little did they know it was actually the beginning of a journey together that has taken this fascinating couple around the world and brought them back home to make a lasting difference at their shared alma mater. Carey grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, the youngest of 3 daughters of a newspaper editor father and a scientist mother.
We were outside all the time. I can remember just waiting till it was almost dark and my mother would call us in.
Jeff grew up 700 miles away in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, enjoying life with his older brother.
Probably a little withdrawn or shy, not all that outgoing. But I did reasonably well in school, and I played sports for a couple years and was active in our local YMCA.
Though their backgrounds were quite different, Maryville College was a natural choice for both the shy boy and the outgoing young woman.
I'd been active in the youth group at my church and in the choir, and I decided that I wanted a small college, and that just seemed like a good starting place. And the ones I looked at were impressive. I liked several, but then when I saw Maryville, it was just hands above the others. For one thing, there was a light snow on the ground, and it was framed by the mountains, and it just seemed like a gorgeous setting. I spent the weekend in the dorm and got to know some of the students that were there, and it just seemed like a good fit.
My mom and dad and my aunt drove me down. They took a vacation and they drove me down here. I had never seen the campus, never visited with anybody here. They dropped me off, helped me carry my stuff up to my room, and said goodbye and left me there, and that was it.
At Maryville College, Jeff blossomed into a good student and a well-rounded young man.
Maryville College was a perfect place for me. I would not have done well at a major university or a much bigger school. It was the size, the people, the closeness of everything, it just worked for me.
Surprisingly, since he majored in history, the only thing that frightened Jeff during his 4 years at Maryville College was his history professor.
Arda Walker, if you walked into this room, I would still be scared of her. she was a tough professor, and she scared the bejesus out of me, and still would. But she made me work, and I got good grades from her, you know, and I was pleased by that.
And Carey, well, you might say she was fearless. Not even the winter wilderness could chill the heart of this adventurous freshman.
I elected to take a hike on the Appalachian Trail. It was called Winter Survival Hike. Sure enough, it snowed the whole time. We left from Clemenstone and we went to Fontana Dam. It was really an adventure. We had snow from the first day, and it was pretty cold. It was a wonderful experience to learn that I could endure and carry a heavy pack and enjoy being in winter in nature. It was a different experience for hiking.
In spite of their shared love for the nearby mountains, it was at the campus pool where Carey and Jeff had their first encounter.
Ah, yes, the famous incident. I was a lifeguard here at the pool to earn a little money, and I'd met this gal here, this Carey, and I was sort of interested, and she came out there and she dove in the pool, and being a macho man, I dove in behind her and swam, and I beat her to the end. She had a good head start on me.
When he swam faster than I did and beat me to the end, I paid attention. And I just kept on paying attention.
The spark was lit, but it would be years later, after Carey and Jeff both graduated, before their love would be fanned into a flame. First, Carey underwent a major transformation that changed her major and the direction of her life.
At the end of my sophomore year, Martin Luther King was killed, and that had a big impact on my thinking and my life. I wanted to be in the community, making some kind of effort towards civil rights and social justice. So I left school for the coming year, so it would have been my junior year. And I worked and lived in the inner city, and I worked at a church with low-income families and disadvantaged youth. Doing my gap year changed my mind about my major. I decided to change from biology to psychology, so it had a huge impact on me. I became far more oriented to people and change and how to bring about social change.
Jeff graduated in 1970 with a degree in history. He attended seminary for a year and a half at Princeton University, then moved to Atlanta to work for the Social Security Administration. It was here that he crossed paths once again with Carey, who had graduated from Maryville College in 1972 with a degree in psychology.
He was actually dating somebody else for a while, and I remember thinking, I don't think that's right. So we got back together.
From this point forward, Jeff's career took both of their lives in surprising directions. In 1988, Jeff joined the Federal Aviation Administration as an aviation security expert, a job he landed thanks to connections he made years earlier at Maryville College. Throughout the 1990s, Jeff and Carey lived overseas, first in the United Kingdom and later in continental Europe.
I'd still be there if I could have. We both fell in love with it. We had met some great people. We still go back and visit them. And I enjoyed the history incredibly.
Jeff's work was challenging and important. Over the years, he managed hundreds of millions of dollars in government grants and oversaw programs that saved the government hundreds of millions more. Even as she supported Jeff's global moves, Carey forged her own path forward, earning a PhD in business and starting her own consulting firm in England.
In London, I was starting my dissertation for my doctorate, and I picked the subject of cross-cultural adjustment and cross-cultural conflict because it was a difficult adjustment at first. And I was very interested in how the two cultures bump up against each other in a work setting and conflict occurs. And it was very revealing to understand more about culture clash, so to speak.
The firm Carey co-founded is still thriving today. Carey attributes her success in graduate school and international business to lessons she learned right here at Maryville College.
I think part of the reason I like Maryville so much is that it taught me about change and how that's the only constant. And it was a chance to be creative when Jeff moved. Or his job moved us, and it was difficult at first, but I would always just dig until I found a way to make a career and to accept the difference. I learned a lot that way, and I'm really glad I had that chance.
Since their retirement in the early 2000s, Jeff and Carey have stayed busy, volunteering their time in causes that make a difference.
I would say that Maryville had an emphasis on service and on, I guess, doing for others. And that's sort of permeated my retirement years. I got active with a women's service organization and started working with refugees in an area of Atlanta that has a large concentration of refugees.
Like Carey, I got involved after retired. I got involved with the Master Gardeners program. I like gardening, and wound up volunteering at Dunwoody Nature Center where I live, and teaching classes there, and teaching classes to Boy Scouts who are trying to earn their merit badges, and just doing different things.
Jeff and Carey have always made time to serve at Maryville College too. Both have served for years on the alumni board, and each chaired the 40th anniversary fundraising drive for their respective graduating class. But it's clear that what means the most to these two outstanding alumni is the time they've spent on campus helping make a difference.
There's a couple of things that Maryville does. KT Week is Kin Takahashi Week, and we come back each year and do volunteer work, and that's all ages of Maryville grads. And that's a wonderful experience to paint and clean and do gardening and give back to the college. And we've met some folks that are just fabulous that way.
Not all of us have great deals of money to give back to the school, but we have time on our hands, and we know things. And so whether it be carpentry or painting or hanging wallpaper or doing stuff, and they can give things that save the college money. We do it for free. You'd have to pay somebody $500 to do this.
It's not surprising when you consider who Jeff and Carey Coghill are as people that they have chosen to live their lives in service to others, a choice that began decades ago during their years here at Maryville College.
We're not that oriented to things or to accumulating wealth. We've always been more oriented to being of service to others. That's made the most sense to us. And Maryville had a lot to do with that. At Maryville, we had a chaplain named Dr. Campbell, who was a tremendous influence and very inspiring about the importance of giving back. And that's really been the theme of both of our lives.
That's why Carey and Jeff Coghill are the first couple ever to be honored as Maryville College's Alumni Citation Award winners. They're great examples of what it means to embrace lifelong learning and serving their community.